Next session is on the invisible hand. In your text here on page 10, it talks about economics in perspective right here in your text. And they're talking about the Enlightenment in the 1700s and the 1500s. And we're talking about science. We're talking about how do we know things and how can we build scientific theories. And the old explanation is, well, the explanation for everything was just God. It was the big X. Why does this turn out? Well, God says so, God did, or something like that. And then along came the Enlightenment, where we realized there's an exterior world out there that we can observe, we can have theories, we can test to see how it works, and we can actually control it. And it's a major shift in thinking from the old world way of understanding the world and the Enlightenment in the 1700s. So I'm talking about, I want to use that illustration. Again, they talk about the classical economists, which we mentioned before in there. I want to use this as a background for why was it that people from very radically different cultural presuppositions read Adam Smith's book and they saw that metaphor for the invisible hand. And from their cultural, social, religious, political, presuppositional background of how they understand the world to work, they all said, that's right, all right. That's how that works. How could these radically dispersed people all tend to agree with Adam Smith when he was saying the government should just keep its mitts off of trying to control people's lives? Didn't really mean to talk about this right here, but I will. I'll just jump in with something called mercantilism. Mercantilism. Adam Smith's book was writing against this particular ism called mercantilism. The idea is that you've got kingdom A here and you've got kingdom B over here. And you got a king here and you got a king here. And every king wants their economy, wants their social order to be wealthier than the next door neighbors. So how do we do that? How do we even know if I'm more wealthier than the other guy? Well, this king can say, well, how many gold coins are stacked up in my kingdom versus how many gold coins are stacked up in that kingdom? He's got a whole lot more gold coins than I do, so obviously he's wealthier than I am. So how do we increase our wealth? Well, during this time period, coming out of the Middle Ages on into the 1700s here, there weren't a whole lot of options for what you could do for a living, but one option would be you've got a team of horses and you've got a buckboard or you got a mule or something, and you could take something from one locality where it's very, very plentiful, and you could take it to another locality where it's relatively scarce, and you could get a good profit on that. So let's say this kingdom is very good at producing wool. And these guys are not good at producing wool at all. So someone says, okay, I'm going to take my wool over here, and I'm going to trade it for money, and I'm going to bring the money back here. I'll put a dollar sign there. Now, when the dollars come into the country, that increases the amount of gold in this country, and that makes the country wealthier. This country over here, they're good at making wine. They're no good at wool, but they're good at wine. So some merchants pack up all their wine, they bring it over here, and they sell it in Kingdom A, where there's not much good wine at all. And they pack it up, and then they spend their money, and the money goes back over here, and that's how this nation gets wealthier. Well, in both nations, there's some wool producers and some wine producers. So in Kingdom A, the wine producers are not really happy with these foreigners coming into the home market selling wine to their neighbors when they want to sell their wine to their neighbors. They don't buy our country's wine. Don't buy their country's wine. Help our economy. Buy local. Don't buy over here. But how can you stop them? You're not supposed to go out and shoot them. And so what you could do as a guild is get together with all the wine producers and go to the king and say, hey, king, you know, you're here to protect the people, right? And some of these people are pretty stupid. And there's some shenanigans going on that you should know about. Some of these, we have standards for our wine in this country. And so for it to get our guild stamp of approval, we taste it, the alcohol content has to be so much, it has to be all this and all sorts of stuff. But some other people, when they're coming into the country, they come across the river and they got some extra bottles and they pour like 3/4 full of wine and then they put about 10-20% water in it and they sell it for pure wine. And our citizens are getting ripped off. And that's not only hurting us wine producers, that's hurting our citizens too. And so, King, I think you ought to protect your citizens from that sort of thing because that's just bad. That's not helping them, and it's not helping the local economy because now the people are stupidly buying their wine, which may or may not be any good, compared to our wine, which we know it's good because it goes through our guild. Well, what do you want me to do about it, says the king. Well, what I want you to do about it is I want you to protect the citizens. And so when these people come in here, before they can sell their wine, they're going to have to take it to our shop and we'll sample it. And if it meets our standards, we'll put a seal on it that it's allowed to be sold in our country. And then we'll charge them a fee. And then we'll give you a portion of that fee so you can pay the knights and all the police because they're going to be there anyway, right? So now you can get some revenues to help pay for your knights and the police and all that sort of stuff. And you'll be protecting the citizens and you'll be helping our economy. What a good deal. Okay. All right. Yeah. There are some people out there, they don't know good wine when they taste it. So the only way they're going to know for sure is if it gets certified by this guild. And now when we've got to be certified, now we're putting a barrier to the people coming in here and we're charging them a tax in order to sell their wine in this country. So these guys over here are saying, well, if they're going to give us our wool, we got some wool producers over here, and they think that sometimes we're not getting clean wool. It's still got all this muddy lanolin in it and all that sort of stuff. And so we're going to have them go through the guild to get approved to bring their wool into our country. And if they don't bring good wool, we'll just cut them off altogether. And the local wool producers are just going to say, oh, goody, 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 because that gives us a monopoly over our wool. Just like these people are going to say, oh, that gives us a monopoly over our wine. Now, the control of who can sell what to whom is called mercantilism. We're controlling who is allowed to sell to whom, and we're regulating it. And the regulations, the home people want to regulate this guy's wine business out of production, and so we get a captured market, just like this group wants a captured market, and it tends to break down trade. When you break down trade, these people are stuck with lousy wine, and these people are stuck with lousy wool. And everybody's standard of living goes down. Adam Smith comes along, and he writes this book called The Wealth of Nations, and the bottom line of that is that people want the most that they can get out of life when they trade. And if the king will just keep his mitts off of the wool business and the wine business and let people learn how to take care of themselves and buy wine from whoever they want, whenever they want, however they want. It's called caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. If he just takes his mitts off and lets everybody do whatever they want, then that country that has the most political, economic freedom will be the wealthiest. Now, what is he saying? He's saying, hey, king, do us a favor. Don't do us any favors. Hey, king, do us a favor and don't protect me. Please don't protect me. One of the ways that we can see economic freedom in a country is the right to be stupid. If the government takes away our right to be stupid, then we're not free. I personally think it might be a stupid idea to tie some rubber bands, big long rubber bands to your feet and go jump off a cliff and go boing, 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 bungee jumping or whatever. Do people actually do that? You don't know. Do people actually do that? Yeah, they do that. No, is that stupid? They actually pay money to do that. Is that kind of risky? I think it's kind of stupid. If the government takes away your right to be stupid, it's taking your right to be wise too, because who's to say what's good fun and not good fun? What's to say what is a good deal in wine or a good deal in wool? Either some government bureaucrat's going to say what is a good deal for you, or you get to say what is a good deal for you. Security, being protected, and freedom and taking risk, they're on two ends of the scale. So Adam Smith was writing against this concept of mercantilism, and he was saying whatever king has the wisdom to quit trying to protect everybody from everything is the nation that will become the wealthiest.